Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Optimizing Dealership Performance Accounting webinar here today. This is the fourth installment of these webinars, and I'm very excited to bring you up with these topics. Before we get started, I'd like to bring you up, I'd like to bring to your attention the Q&A section on the actual webinar, where you'll be able to ask questions throughout the actual webinar. We're going to take moments between every segment to allow you to ask questions. But if any of the questions aren't answered, don't worry. We will create a case for those questions and answer them through our regular support channels. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that, and feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. Today we're going to talk about five different subjects. The first topic is we're going to again do a brief review of the Knowledge Center and broadcast tool that we have in DealerVu. In case you weren't in the other ones, this has been very effective and very helpful to our current customers, and I would like to just present the same thing to you. The next one here is the month-end procedures. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also unposted transactions and how to lock your year-end, month-end, and also looking at refreshing training databases. And finally, we're going to talk about print reviewing your balance sheet and income statement. Okay, next slide here. We're going to meet the team. I'm the host, Daniel. As you've known, we've already probably talked to most of you. And I also have Joanne as well on the teams to present to you these subjects. We have Phil that's also going to help us answer some questions via the Q&A section if they come along. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the actual presentation of the Knowledge Center and broadcast tool. In light of the technical difficulties we had yesterday during the webinar, I've decided to re-record the DealerVu Knowledge Center and broadcast demo. To get to the broadcast tool, you simply have to open your DealerVu home screen. Typically, it was located on the bottom right as a little blowhorn, but we have made an enhancement in the upcoming version that now puts it at the top right and actually tells you how many broadcasts were sent. If you click on it, the broadcast tool is bigger and it allows you to toggle between the actual messages that we send to you. It's very important that you look at these messages because this is where we will give you the information relevant to you, such as webinar invites or actionable items that need to be done in DealerVu. Next, there are two ways to access the Knowledge Center. Either by clicking Help on any of the DealerVu screens and clicking on Knowledge Center, or you can hit the F1 button. What you'll see is something like this. As you can see, there's no activity and there's no documents available to you for searching because DealerVu requires you to have a login. To create a login, you simply click on the sign in button and you can click sign up, or if you forgot your password, you can also get password. Once you create your account, you'll be prompted to put in an email address and password, and then you'll be able to sign in. Now you'll see a little bit more information, including the search bar where you can actually search up articles, and DealerVu will suggest some top articles. But if you click on enter, it's going to do a deeper dive. We also have a section here that divides all the articles by department. So if we're looking at the accounting articles, we can simply click on the accounting and you'll see more articles based on the actual submenus in DealerVu for accounting. So you can scroll and then click on any of these to open them. Now, if you're looking to submit a request, it's highly recommended that you do so via the actual Knowledge Center by clicking here where it says submit the request. By clicking on that, it allows you to start typing in a subject, and if by chance one of the articles are relevant, you can actually select the articles and potentially bypass submitting a case in the first place. If none of these suggested articles work, you can go ahead and add in a description and add files in order to populate the case. Once you're ready, hit submit. And the advantage of using the Knowledge Center for submitting cases is that it'll bypass any type of email protocol and gets directly imported into our queue, meaning that you'll get support faster. If the need be to search historical cases that you've sent in, you can click on the header of your account and you can click on request. When you click on request, you'll see all your historical cases, and you can actually click on any of these to get a deep dive into the information. If you need to return to the home screen at any time, you can click on the DealerVu logo and it'll bring you back to the home screen. Finally, Near the bottom, you'll see something that says promoted article. During the promoted articles, we add in things such as new feature enhancements and also relevant things, kind of like these webinars. So make sure you keep a close eye on those in order to stay on top of what's new in DealerVu. That concludes the demonstration of the Knowledge Center. Thank you very much. So that's essentially the DealerVu knowledge base, knowledge center, and the broadcast demo that I wanted to go through. And now I'm going to pass it on to Joanne, who is going to talk about the month-end processes. Joanne?
Sorry, Dan.
That's okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for this presentation. Okay, so the month-end process. Why it's important? It's important because if I do my month-end properly every month, it's going to help me to be up to date in my information that I'm providing the owner or my, and all my accounts receivable, accounts payable would be in a good, it would balance with everything, so I know exactly what's going on. Okay, so to start, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. So first of all, what I do is I went in my DealerVu and I create on the side of my report what I call my monthly report. So every month I should take the time, or it doesn't have to be at the end of the month. It could be, like every 2 weeks, but at least I should update my report. So at the end of the month, the work is easier on me. So I put a list of the things that I really don't want to forget. So my balance sheet, income statement, trial balance, accounts payable, aging, customer deposit, flooring, accounts receivable, finance contract, general parts inventory, and unit inventory transaction. Okay, so those are the main one. Doesn't mean I cannot check anything else, but those are the ones who are very important for me. So as we know, when we have the first report I should run is my trial balance. Okay, and why I should run my trial balance first is because I have to balance my subledger to my trial balance. So I need to work with my trial balance. It's my tool to work with. And then I work with my subledger to balance them to the trial balance. Okay. Now, my trial balance is supposed to be balancing to 0 all the time. As you could see, I have an example here where I don't balance. Okay. So the first thing I suggest that we should do when the trial balance doesn't balance is to go back in our system and go and look at the year end. Most of the time it's caused because I had some year end transaction that I didn't post. Okay. And until they get posted, those proposed adjustments will create another balance on my trial balance. So it's a good habit. It would be a good habit to make sure that when my year end is closed, I lock my year end. I need it to be unlocked. I just call, create a case, and we will unlock it for you. And when I lock my year end, I should make sure that everything is balanced. It's at 0. Okay. So I'm going to put this one down. So I'm going to go back in my DealerVu and I'm going to go and get my accounts payable. Okay. So when I run my accounts payable, I have a choice between different GL accounts. So I suggest that you should go through each of them instead than trying to don't put any, and then you're going to have a long report that's going to be hard to balance and everything. So we should always go and choose one. So I did this one. And as you can see, my report is showing me my customer name, everything, the times, and the days. And the average days are quite good to have because I could see why do I still owe those people after 5,000 days. Okay. So when I see something like that, I should be able to go on my customer vendor and see why. Okay, so it's an error. That invoice should be canceled. So I should clean my vendor invoice. I should clean to make sure that what I have in my account is accurate. And I could ask the question for. So it's really important that to take the time to do that. And of course, when I go to get my total, this total at the bottom should balance with my trial balance. If it does not, okay, so here I have 489,699. So if I go back on my trial balance and I look at my account 20, and I could just put an account GL here and it's going to give me my account. I don't have to go and search all the way down. So here, 489,699.61, I'm very good. It's balanced. So it's a good news. But it's balanced, but it doesn't mean that my account is clean by, because I have really, really old invoice and cleaning to do. Okay. So this is my account receivable. So I do the same thing with my next one, who's going to be my customer deposit. Okay, why? Whoopie, sorry. Come on, buddy. Okay. Why I see customer deposit? Customer deposit is the deposit that's been put on a vendor, on a parts invoice, service invoice, or units. And it's good that I go and see, how come I still have a $500 and it's dated 2019? Hopefully you don't have those dates, but this is an example I'm using. So it's give me, it's alert me to say, okay, I better go and check. This deal was supposed to be canceled. Why is not canceled? Why we still have $500 there? Okay. And so it's allowed me to clean again and keep my sheet up to date. And again, I could come and choose, okay, my customer deposit for the service, parts and service. This invoice is since 2021, and I still have a deposit on it. Why? So it's good to look at this report. It's not like, your accounts receivable or your accounts payable, but in a way, you took the customer deposit, so you should know where it's going. Now, in the new version, this is the flooring vendor invoice for the customer. We did a little change on this report that you're going to see when you're going to get the new version. To help the customer, we add a column for the age. So when you go and look at your flooring, you could see, okay, I owe this money and this unit I have for 700 days. Okay. And it's make it easier for you if you want to follow up and say why it's old, why I still have it. It's just more information to help you. Okay. So this again is my report that I use at the month end, that I choose the flooring company and I choose my date. And again, it should balance with my trial balance. Okay. My next one is going to be my account receivable. And this one, it's kind of same principle. I come and I have different GL accounts. So I should go one by one. My warranty claim should be by themselves. My finance contract, my internal. I should go one by one and clean them one by one. On your account receivable, it's something you have to be more careful is sometime on a customer, you're going to see, if I look at the last one, Patricia, you see that it's an account receivable, but I also have a credit, but I never apply it against a customer account. So it's still showing here. It's still showing the right balance. But what's happening is by not clearing that in the customer account, when the service department open a service invoice or the parts department open a parts invoice and they go under the payment, it shows that the customer has a credit. So it's important that I clean my account because I don't want them to use this credit when it's supposed to go on the outstanding balance of receivable. So it's really important to pay attention to those things. And again, you have the age, and of course, my age say, no, I shouldn't do that. And when I go at the bottom, okay, I'm almost there at the bottom, I should balance with my trial balance. So 320,965. Okay, and that was my account 1,200. I balance. So it's really important that my subledger balance with my trial balance. If it doesn't balance, we have to go to the source to find out why. Because we cannot, it's not, sometimes people could say, oh, I'm just going to do a journal entry. Journal entry will work sometime, and sometimes they won't work, and it will come and bite you. So it's always, if I do a correction, take the time to do it properly. Okay. My finance contract here, my receivable from my finance contract, the same thing. It has to be up to date because why I didn't receive my money. This unit is gone, the customer is gone. I need my money. Why? So that's why it's so important to check all those subledger. Okay. So another one that I need, it's called the general parts inventory. The general parts inventory, kind of a stubborn report because it doesn't have any date. So if I forget to print it the last day of the month, I cannot go back and get it. Okay. But there's a tool that I could use that allow me to schedule the report to be sent to me by email. And I could schedule it for the day I want. If I want it monthly, weekly, daily, I could choose it, set it up, and then I don't have to worry because the report, at the end of the month, I will receive an email with the report. So just close the ear. I have this special tool who's sometimes going to save my life. I just need to go and set it up. Okay. So I'm going to close this one and we're going to go. And the last one that is very important too, it's called the Unit Inventory Transaction Summary. This report, I should go and get it by each GL. I choose my date. I have the option of the GL, and I should go one by one because on my trial balance, they are one by one. And then I should go through my report. The first on the report, when you look, you see the stock number. If there's a second number beside, it's because that stock number is attached to a deal. Okay. Now, when I look at my amount under my balance, I should never have a negative amount. If I have a negative amount, that means I have to go and look. Okay. So it could be because there's a service order who's still open and it's going to close next month. And that's fine. But at least I do my research to find out why I don't have this. So sometimes it's easy to find out. I just go here. I took the stock number of 120.96 as an example. I'm going to remove my summary. And I'm going to go and look at it. I'm sorry, it's going to take a little bit longer than I expected. There we go. So this, I don't have any transaction. So I'm going to have to go on the actual deal to go and see what's going on. So there's a way on the report to do my research. I did my research. I cannot find what I'm looking for. Then I'm going to have to go back and go on the actual deal. And then from the actual deal, I'm going to go and check why. So it's back to you, Dan.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanne, for that. That was very detailed. I want to open it up for any types of questions that were there. And I see there was one. about the actual about the part inventory report, saying where it was the scheduler for the general part inventory report. That one's from Robin. Robin, I will. It'll be part of the thank you email where to put that and how to schedule it. I'll show you again. It's just a little icon, so we will share with you the documentation about that. So it should help you. So stay tuned when this webinar is done. You'll be getting a thank you email with that information. Corinne was nice enough to tell us that we put the wrong number in on the deals one when you're searching the deal. So I think that's why there was no transactions at the time.
Thank you.
But thank you, Corinne, for that. Are there any other questions you would want to ask Joanne about these about the ARAP and the reporting from there? So feel free to ask questions throughout, and then we can always go back if we need to. By all means, that's the way we want to run these things. If not, we're going to continue out to the next one. And Joanne, you're going to take over again and talk about the unposted transactions.
Okay, so there's a lot of time we're very busy and we start a transaction and we do something else and then we forget and then go and do a second transaction. And we're not really aware that transaction is still existing in the system. So it's really important to know how to verify those outstanding transactions because, of course, it's going to have an impact on my information that I'm in my system. Okay, so I will share my screen again. Okay, so when I go to my accounting, I have all those options, my accounts receivable, accounts payable, all these options. So if I come under my accounts receivable, and there's an option who's called all unposted transaction. So if I click this, it will remove the date because what I'm asking to the system is, I want you to show me all the unposted transactions from day one because it's not supposed to be any there. And now I'm going to go refresh. So now it's showing me in my system that I have all those transactions open. And the question is, why? What is it? So I have to come on each of them and look at them and say, okay, what is this? Oh, there's a goodwill sale, but it was never posted. So I should not post it right away because I should go and look at the customer to make sure I didn't do it twice. Okay, because most of the time when you have this is because you start something, you forgot, you went somewhere else, and then you couldn't find it, so you create a second one. So most of the time, that's the reason B. So after I done my research and I know what it is and it's supposed to be there or not, then I could make my choice and say, okay, I'm going to delete the invoice. Now, when I delete an invoice, okay, we have to understand that it's gone. Okay, you cannot create a case to DealerVu and say, oh, I delete this invoice by mistake. Can you put it back on? No, it's gone. It's really gone. So we have to make sure before using this that this is really what we want. And this pop window is going to tell me this is be deleted permanently. It's gone. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, so I clean. So it's I don't have to, we say month end, but I could do that once a week. I don't have to wait until the end of the month to do it. It's just a good habit to keep myself, up to date, that everything is perfect. So now I'm going to put this one down. I do the same thing in my accounts payable. So I'm going to go, and here's going to say all on post transaction. It's removing the date, and I refresh. Okay. You may be surprised if you've never done it to see what could show up there. Okay. You could see something say, wow, it's from 2020. Why? So an invoice was stock. Because it's stock, you put the inventory, you update the inventory, never went in my payable, it's in limbo in the system. So the only way I could find it is by coming here and showing my all on post transaction. Okay. Now you have to be careful. If you find old transaction like 2023, 22, 23, depending when you went to post it, because if you close your year end, you don't want that to affect your year end. So you could always create a case and we would be pleased to get back to you and work with you. Okay, so banking transaction the same way. All on post transaction, refresh, and I'm good on this one. So general journal, same thing. Okay, all on posted transaction. The only thing with the general journal, when I say all on post transaction, okay, I need to uncheck the date and then refresh. And that's giving me all my on post transaction. Now, with the system, if you could come and click on the little plus to see all the other transaction attached to it, or you could use this little sign here tool that will display everything. So I don't want to see everything. I just come back here and I just want this one. I'm just going to go on the plus sign. That's it. So that is showing me all my on post entries. And again, I have to do research, decide what I want to do with it. And from there, I fix it. Okay. Transaction journal doesn't have anything there. Transaction journal is like the history. That's what's giving us my history of things. It's like I just put an invoice number, and it's telling me everything I want to see. So transaction journal, same way, it has the tool here too. So if I was going to put a document 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many I have. There's one. I could use my tool. It's showing me all my transaction, what I want to see, and there. Okay. So the transaction journal is very important because it has all your secrets. So you put the parts number, a service order number, and you're going to see all your transaction. Okay. Year end, that's something we're going to talk later on. Okay. So the other thing was very important is as the controller, I have to make sure that I have the most of my invoice in my system. I mean, in my accounting, so I could show the proper income and in costs or things like that. So under the parts, they have all those status. If the invoice is not a charge on account or paid, it's in limbo. It's not coming in your accounting. So I will go and check to complete it. Completed mean normally that the work is done, everything is done, I'm waiting for my money. So I'm just going to refresh this because I removed the date because I want to see everything. And then I see this and I said, okay, this is since July. Why I did not receive my money? So I double click. And sometimes it's just because they forgot they received the money and they forgot to put the status at paid. But because this invoice was not put at charge on account, I didn't pay tax. It's not my taxes. It's not showing at my receivable. It's not showing anywhere. Okay. So it's really, really important that I come and I check. And I could print that. Okay. I could go on here under file and print it and give it to my parts guy and say, can you tell me why all this is at complete? Can you tell me why there's a green flight? That means the parts has been received, but there's no note on the parts invoice saying the customer's been called to let him know that the parts was here. And this is a year old. Okay. So because it has an effect, the parts is out of the part. The part's been removed from the inventory. So you cannot sell it anymore because it's both, it's not for sale anymore, but you're still waiting. Not been put at charge on account, not been put anywhere. So it's really important to look for all those complete invoice. That here it's thinking forever. Okay, there we go. See? So he did call the customer in 2020. I'm in 2024. So that is why it's so important. Okay? So until it goes to this, what we call charge on account or paid, is not entered in your accounting. So completed is good you should check that all the time. Seek approval, there's not that many customers who use seek approval. But again, if you use it, you should go and look. And the other one is wait for parts. And you're going to say to me, why are you going to look for wait for parts? We know they're waiting for the parts. Yes. But sometimes they've been waiting for the parts for 2 years. So if I've been looking for the parts for 2 years, why? Does the customer still want this part? Does this should be canceled? Does the customer has done a deposit on it? Because it hasn't, in fact, because it's all this waiting in your work in progress. But it shouldn't be in work in progress. So this is really important that I do that. I do it, same thing, for service order. Okay, again, complete it. Because that's mean I did all my work. The work is done on the bike. Everything is done. I should have my money. And then I go the same way. I check. I say, okay, why it's not been charged on account? Sometimes you don't pay attention to it, but all the little amount, like here as an example, I have a good $8,000 outstanding. That is not, I don't have the money. It's not showing anywhere. I didn't pay the tax to the government. The parts is here. What's going on? So that's where sometimes when I work with you guys, I would say I'm going to be mean. That's what I do. Okay? So it's really important that you take the time to look at these and ask the question. You could print, you give the report and say why. Same thing again. Wait for parts. Okay? So wait for parts. It's going to give me the same thing. Why? It's wait for parts since 2022. It's a green flag. This customer owed me $1,000. Why was it not put charge on account? Why? Okay? So those things are very, very, very important because it has an effect on the bottom line. Back to you, Dan.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanne, for that. And it's very important to make sure you minimize your transactions, and it's really good that you reinforce that. At this point, I'm going to bring it up if there's any other questions to be asked about these unposted transactions on the ARAP screens and every other screen that Joanne showed. Does anybody have any other questions they want to follow up on? If not, then we'll keep moving. But again, do not hesitate to ask questions. And the next segment here we're going to talk about is accounting. It's you're locking your month end. Talk about year end and your and refreshing your training mode. So again, I'll pass it back to Joanne, and she can certainly talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So DealerVu will do year end, but the month end is not the same way. And it's a kind of locking the month end. It's really important because some of you has to remit some NCM report, or it could be with BRP or something like that. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Under the system setting, okay, under accounting, and under miscellaneous setting. So I'm going to put that bigger. Okay, so I have a choice of my general or my unit cell. So under my general, if I go close to the bottom, there's a place here to put a date. It's called last period close date. Okay. So it's recommended. We recommend that at the end of the month, let's say we are in January, I should have the month of December here. Okay. By putting the date of December, that means that people who would like to post a transaction in my system and don't have the permission, the system will pop a window and say, this is prior for the month. Are you sure you want to continue? If they have permission, okay, they will be able to post it. But if they don't have the permission, they have to go back to you and you have to decide how you want to treat that invoice or that transaction. Okay. So it's really important because, especially for some of you who has to remit some report, if somebody go and post something in the previous month when you already send it, that means the following months you have to resubmit it, the previous month and the previous month and then finally the actual month. So it's very important that, it's up to you, of course, but it's strongly suggested that you put a date here. And what I mentioned, it's a permission. So if the employee has a permission, they will be able to post it. So you should go over your employee permission to make sure that just the person who should have it has it, and you don't have people who don't have it. It's happened sometimes that somebody's going to go and clone an invoice, or all invoice because they're cloning the department. Parts service cloning the invoice, they don't pay attention to the date and they go and post it. If they have the permission, they will be able to do it. But normally they should not have the permission to post in prior months or year because they're not doing accounting. So I should prevent that. So that's why it wouldn't hurt to go and double check the permission of the employees. Okay. As you know, the year end is closing the year. Now, if my year end is in December 31st, I don't have to wait until I get the entry from the accountant to close my year end. Okay, my new year's should be created as soon as possible, because if you don't, your trial balance always going to show included the previous year because you didn't close your year. So it's really important that you don't have to wait. And then when you close your year, you post your proposed option. Okay, I'm just going to go. And then I'm going to take this one because I know there's some adjustment proposed who are not been posted. The system put all the transaction here. You just go and say, okay, post the entries. The system will post the entries. I will say no to the backup. And then I just go and say, okay, it's all in my returning earning. I'm going to lock it until I'm ready to go and work in it. So by locking the year end, nobody could go in because you need to get it unlocked. And the only way to get it unlocked is to send us a case for us to go and unlock the year end for you. Okay. So it's really important that you create the new year as, you don't have to wait. You could wait a week or two, but I see some people waiting 2 months, 3 months. You shouldn't. You should create it right away. Okay. And another thing I suggest, you don't have to do this, but under the system maintenance, when you close your month, you should come under tool and you should refresh your training data. It's a backup. So if you have to go and do a correction or something happened and said, no, I'm sure I didn't do this. You go back and it's there. So at least, it's a good tool. You should refresh it once, at the end of the month, I go and refresh it. And then, Training mode could save your life many times sometimes because there's a mistake and you go and do the correction in the training mode, it's working well, then you go back in the real mode and you do it. Okay, back to you then.
Thank you, Joanne. That's very good information. Also, just an add-on to the training mode. When you do refresh your training mode, if you do it on the day of the month end, it's also a way you can actually refer back to those time-sensitive reports, should you have forgotten to download it or stuff like that. So it's a highly useful tool to be used. That being said, is there any questions about this locking your month end and your year end, and also refreshing your training mode? I don't think there's anything at the moment yet, Joanne. So you're doing a really good job answering those questions. Okay, we're at the final section right now. We're running a little bit long, but we'll go through this one relatively quickly, just to get you guys back to work here and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about accounting and printing and reviewing your balance sheet and income statement. So I'll pass it back to Joanne.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so like I said, when I print my report for the month end, okay, so after I check all this, I balance that with my trial balance. If my trial balance is balanced, my balance sheet should balance too. Okay, if my balance sheet doesn't balance, most of the time I have to go back to my trial balance. Okay, and then I just go and get my income statement. And an income statement, as you know, all of you, you choose the date, you could select all the department, or you could go just by one department, and you could go by summary and everything. So it's really like easy to work with. The information is there. I could send it on Excel, export to Excel. So because I want to see something different and it's bugging me or something, so I could work on Excel and get it more information that I'm looking for. So it's very straightforward. Okay, those are my income statement. My balance sheet is the same way. I'm just gonna come and get my balance sheet here. Okay, I choose my date. I'm gonna go back to December 31st. Okay, I could show sub-account. I could show last year. I decide what I want to show on it. I could have a summary report, and I just go refresh. And hopefully it's not going to be too long. Oh, it was pretty good. So, and it should balance, so of course, if it doesn't balance, my first thing I will go and look and say, okay, why I don't balance. I don't balance here. And the difference is the $21,000 that I'm out on my trial balance. So my trial balance, my balance sheet should balance. So now that means I have to go back on my trial balance and find out why I'm out of balance. So most of the time you're going to find it is because sometimes the trial balance and the subledger don't balance. So that will create an out of balance. So it's by doing, all this work, every step by step, you should be able to balance to zero perfectly. Okay, Dan, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Joanne. And excuse me. I just want to see if there's any questions anywhere in the webinar again. I don't see anything in the Q&A. At this point, we'll conclude the webinar. We thank everybody for coming. If there's any other questions or anything, please do not hesitate to log on to our help center and submitting the cases through there. We'd be more than happy to help you. And again, we thank you for participating. You'll see in the next few days, there'll be a recording of this session, and there will be linked articles in that email to let you know how to find the articles that pertain to the subject Joanne talked about. So again, thank you everybody, and we will talk to you guys soon.